This is Gemara in Gittin, Daf Lamed Beis, Baruch Hashem, beginning another incredible parak in this amazing Masechta, and we pick it up from the Mishnah on Lamed Beis Amid Aleph. Says the Mishnah, Hashayleach get leishtoi. If someone sends a get, a Mishnah that continues many of the halachas of shlichus. Excuse me, we just lost our page. There it is. Hashayleach get leishtoi. If someone sends a get by me of a messenger to his wife, V'yigia b'shliach, and he meets up with the shliach. Oisha achar of shliach, or he sends another shliach, and he shalach achar of shliach. Va'amar loini, either he himself says to the shliach, or he sends a shliach to tell the shliach, and says, "Get shenasati lucha, get that I gave you batel shall be null and void. Batel hu arizeh batel." Again, so I said Ruvain sends a shliach to his wife, and then either meets up with Ruvain, either he meets up with the shliach, or Ruvain sends another shliach to go to the shliach to say, the get I sent you, finish, I don't want to get divorced. The get is batel. Continues the Mishnah, case number 2. If he himself goes to his wife, or sends a shliach to his wife, and tells her, the get that I sent you should be batel. The get is batel, and no longer is she divorced. Says the Mishnah, once he gets the get, he can't be mavatel it anymore. Continues the Mishnah, we'll call this part C of the Mishnah. But and originally they were able to make a bezdin in a different place, not by his wife. He could convene a bezdin, whether it's 2 or 3 people, we'll see in the Gemara. He convenes a bezdin and he says that the get is batel. Hiskin Rav Gamliel Azakin, Rav Gamliel Azakin made a takana, Shali Oisin came in they, tikkun ha'olam, due to the tikkun of the world. Rashi over here gives one reason, because the shliach might not know, and she's going to go and get remarried, but the Gemara is going to give 2 reasons for this takana of Rabbi Gamliel not allowing the husband to be mavatal the get, not in front of his wife. Says the Gemara, Higia loi katani. The Mishnah did not say higi oi, which means that he went proactively and met the shliach. Ela higia, rather the Mishnah says he bumped into a chance encounter with the shliach. Va'afilu mimela. Says the Gemara, from the precise wording of the Mishnah, it seems that the husband doesn't have to actually have gone to chase after and catch the shliach. Even if he just happens to bump into the shliach before the shliach gives the get, he's able to be mevatel the get. Says the Gemara, why? What's the chiddush? V'lo yamrinan. We do not say, let's say, urehu de kamachavin. Maybe from the fact that he didn't actually go to chase down the shliach, and rather he bumped into the shliach and he says, I don't want to give the get anymore. Maybe really he just wants to pain his wife and he wants to make her life miserable. So he's telling the shliach, don't give it to her. And then he's going to go and divorce her in a day, a week, or whatnot. Says the Gemara, from the wording of the Mishnah is clear. In any form of the husband meeting up with the shliach, he's able to be mavatel, nullify the get that he sent to his wife. Or the Mishnah said a case in which he sends another shliach after the shliach that he sends. Says Gemara, Lamali. Why do we need this case? Explains the Gemara. Maybe the second shliach is no stronger than the first shliach, and therefore it does not have the power to be mavatel, to nullify the first shliach. Kamash Malon, says the Mishnah, that you're able to send the shliach to be mavatel the first shliach. Continues the Gemara about 15 lines down. First one line is Kidem. Explaining the Mishnah, Kidem hu eitzel ishtai. We said in the Mishnah, if he goes and he meets his wife early and is mavatel to get to work, Slama li. What do we need this case for? Explains the Gemara, I would have thought, when do we say that the husband does not have evil intentions to pain his wife? Honey, immediately that's only l'shliach. If he goes and he meets the shliach, he's about to divorce this woman, and he goes and he meets her, and he says, by the way, the get you're about to get is nothing. Maybe that clearly shows he's trying just to cause her pain. And he really just wants to cause her pain, and he's going to divorce her in a day or so, and therefore maybe when she gets the get from the shliach, should yes be a good divorce. Kamash Malon, that he's able to be mavatel by meeting up with his wife. Continues the Gemara quoting the din in the Mishnah. What's the next case? If he sends a shliach to his wife. Says the Gemara, Lama li, what do we need this case for? Explains the Gemara, maybe he himself, if he goes and meets his wife, he would never go meet his wife just to cause her pain. Avol shliach, but to send a shliach, a messenger, to go and tell the wife that the get you're about to get is nothing. He doesn't care about the shliach working a little bit extra. Kitarach, and he's certainly doing this for evil plans to cause her pain. Kamash Malani could be mavatal the get even with a shliach. And now the next case of the Mishnah was what? Once the get reaches her hand, it's over. He can't be mavatal anymore. Says the Gemara, Pshita. Obviously he can't be mavatal anymore. She's divorced. Says the Gemara, Lo Yitzricha, you know what the chiddush is? He was really running. And he was chasing to find his wife or to get to the shliach and say it's not a good get. Levatule, to be mavatal the get. So so I would think perhaps, even if he gets there too late and she already received the get, maybe this reveals to us that what? That really he, yes, was mavatal the get. And therefore, even though she already got it, maybe it should not work. Kamash Malan, once she gets the get, it is too late. So those are all the dinim in the Mishnah, and as well, all the different chedushim that the Mishnah is teaching with each and every din. And with that, we continue explaining the Gemara, Tanu Rabbanan, about 10 lines at the bottom of Lamed Beis Amud Aleph. Says the Gemara, quoting a Braisa, Batel hu, says the Gemara, what happens if he says Batel hu, the get is batal, it is void, or if he says I don't want it, Devarav kayamim, his words are effective and the get is no longer a valid get. But if he says pasalu, the get is pasal, it is invalid, einoi get, or he says it is not a get, loi amar klum. He said nothing. Now we can understand the difference, and this is the point that the Gemara is about to bring up. If he says it is batal, it is, I don't want it, he's talking to this entity called a get, and he's destroying its power. But if he says it is pasul, it's not a get, that's just not true. It's not pasul, and it is a get. So to say a story about it which isn't true, that doesn't work. And this point, the Gemara says, Lemeimra, is this to teach us the batal lishta de la batal mashma? It sounds like to say batal who talks about in the future. This is batal, is talking about something in the future, and that's why it works. But asks the Gemara 5 lines from the wide lines, V'amarabba bar ivu amarav sheishes, v'amarabba ravuo, me'kabel matana shamar. If someone accepts a matana and says la'achar shabasa matana liyadai, once the gift reaches his hands, matana zumevu teles, this gift should be void. Tibatel, it is void. Ef shiba, I do not want it. Loi amar klom. What he says is nothing. But if he says batlahi, it is batal, eina matana, or if he says it is not a matana, then devarav kayamim. So says the Gemara, 1 second, alma batal meikara mashma. From here we see that batal doesn't mean in the future, it means originally. That by saying batlahi, it is batal, we see that it works. So how can you tell me in our case, if he says batalu, it invalidates the get in the future. And over here, if he says ti batlahi, it is batal, it's talking in the past. The same word can't mean both, we think. Amar Abaye, concluding this Amud, explains Abaye as we turn over to Amebez, batal, the word batal, shtei l'shaynais mashma. Says the Gemara, no, indeed, one word could have 2 connotations. Mashma de batel, or mashma dilibatel. The word batel could be mashma in the past and could be mashma in the future. Gabe get, when it comes to a get, dimahani be kamar, we say that the word means what is helpful. Gabe matana, lishnahani be kamar. By matana, it's the same thing. Meaning, the word itself, explains the Gemara, could really go both ways. The word batel can mean in the past, the word batel can mean in the future. Explains the Gemara, we utilize the context, what we're talking about, to allow the word to have the potency. When it comes to get, the only way for it to work is if it's talking about in the future. This item should be bottle, it should be void, so that's what it means. By Ma'atana, the only way it should work if it says that this item I accepted was never a gift, then it will work like that. So the word bottle, says Abaya, could be utilized in both forms. Once we're on the topic, we quoted a Gemara about accepting a gift. The Gemara continues explaining Amar Abayi, 4 lines down, Lamed Beis Amid Beis. Nakitinan, we have the following tradition. Shliach ma'atana hareyu kishliach haget. A messenger for a gift is just like the messenger for a get. Nafka mina, what does this teach us? Lehoylech lav kischli dami. That if I tell a messenger, Hoylich, take this item and give it to someone as a matana, it doesn't mean that the shliach is zoiche, acquires the item on behalf of that person. Just like by a get, if someone gives a shliach get and says, take this on behalf of my wife, does not mean to be zoiche, to acquire it on her behalf. It means to give it to her. And the Rashi on the last narrow line at the top of your, last wide line, explains, the chiddush here is that you would think that a matana, a gift, is a schos. And we know this is a concept of Zachal Adam Shlei B'fanav. You could accept something for someone, even not in front of him. Says Abaye, no. If you said the word Hoylech has the same din as not like Kizchi. If you tell someone to take this item both by get and by matana, doesn't mean to acquire it, it means to give it. Continues the Gemara, let's get back into Gittin. Ravina Ashched Rav Nachman Yitzchak who's leaning on the door. About 7 lines down, some use these type of lishonis in the Gemara as a raya to the way they remember things, is you make a story. As the Gemara tells us, where was he standing? A picture that you could depict. Remember, he was standing on the door and this is what he was asking. Batil mahu. What, not if he said batil who, not if he said batil yeh. If he just says about it, get batil. What is the status? Answers the Gemara. Teku. We gotta wait for Eliyahu Navi for that one. Continues the Gemara. If someone says get zed, this get lo yoyel should not help, lo yatir should not release, lo ya'aziv should not cause to leave, lo yishalach should not send away, lo yigari should not divorce, yecharesh should be pottery, yekicharesh should be like pottery, devarav kayamim, it works and the get has no more potency. But if he says that the get is not effective, it does not release, does not cause to leave, does not send away, does not divorce, who it is pottery, who it is like pottery, which is really the same thing that we saw on the bottom of Amid Aleph, that if you tell a story which is not true about your get, that is meaningless. So if someone says, this get is not a get, guess what? It is a get. So therefore saying it's not a get doesn't do anything. If you say it shouldn't be a get, it shouldn't have the power to release, it shouldn't have the power to send away, then it will work. Continues the Gemara about 20 lines to the bottom of Amid Beis and Beis. First word on line is Loi Amar Klum. Ibayi Lahu asked the Gemara the following Shaila. Hareyu Cheres Mahu. What if he says, Hareyu Cheres? It is Cheres. So it's a little bit confusing. Does this mean it should be like Chayrez and therefore it's removing its power? Or does it mean it is Chayrez and it doesn't mean anything? We have a precedent for such a din. There's no difference that someone says that this should be hektish. Hareyu hefker, it should be hefker. And what's the halacha? In these cases, it is effective that what? It makes the get have no power. It makes the entity into hektish or into hefker. So too over here, it will make the entity into a shard, and therefore the get will no longer have the power to be magaresh, and the get will be null and void. We continue today's shir with the following story. This is really a continuation of what we were just discussing. In any of the cases that one removes the power from the get no longer has any potency. Can he afterwards go back and utilize that get again or no? Meaning, he said the get is batal. He said the right words, hareyu kafker, whatever it is. Now he has that piece of paper. Does that piece of paper lose its power forever? Or maybe, I don't know, a year later, the husband says, you know what, now I'm ready to get divorced. Could he go and use the get or not? Says the Gemara, Rav Nachman Amar Chayzer Megarish Bai, Rav Shishas Amar Inoy Chayzer Megarish Bai. Amar Chlaikes Rav Nachman and Rav Shishas, and says the Gemara, Elchas Kavasei Rav Nachman, we pass like Rav Nachman that you could, yes, reuse the get. Ask the Gemara, Aini, is that true? We pass like Rav Yechanan elsewhere. To Amar, the Rav Yechanan said, Chayzeres, said Rav Yechanan, says Rav Yechanan, where is this Rav Yechanan? This Rav Yechanan is a Gemara in Kiddushin. Says Rav Yechanan that a woman is able to retract, and once she retracts, it's over. Meaning, the case of Rav Yechanan, the truth is we surely see Rashi over here before we call it a day. Let's look at the side over here, and says Rashi, directly across where we are in the Gemara, Rav Yechanan Mechazeres, Bekedushin beberer kaimer lechaveiroi. Someone says to a woman, marry me with this money after 30 days. She takes the money. And then she retracts within 30 days. What is the halacha? The money is done. It's not a marriage. Because it's bottled before it's chal, before it takes effect. Hachanami libatel gita. So says the Gemara, just like we pass like Rabbi Yechanan, that the ma'is kedushin, the money of marriage, is batel, it's void and it can't be used. So to over here, the get should be null and void. So how can you tell me we pass like Rabbi Nachman that you could reuse the get? Answers the Gemara, and the Gemara says you're comparing apples with airplanes. Hachi ashta, what's the comparison? Hasam over there in the case of kedushin, diver v'dibru. It's all words. Asi diber and vatal diber. And therefore the classical rule is words can cancel out words. Very good that you got rid of the shlichos. So when sent a messenger to divorce his wife, so you destroy the shlichos, so you can't divorce the wife anymore. But gita, the get, the paper itself, kufay mika mevatel, he was never mevatel it, and therefore says the Gemara, there's no kasha from Rav Yechanan, and indeed we could, yes, pass like Rav Nachman, that this piece of paper still does have potency, and one could still divorce his wife with this paper at a later date.